Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenmara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you're watching this, I would like to offer the elemental energy reading for the element of air for the month of June 2024. Air covers the signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. If you're interested to know why I read for the elements and not the zodiac, you can find out more in a video in the description down below. Also, if you are unfamiliar with the elements in this aspect, there is a birth chart that you can get. It's called a natal chart down below. It's the one that I personally I use frequently. I've got this many years ago, and it is pretty accurate for what, without going to an actual astrologer sitting down in front of them. For an ordered one, this is really super detailed. You get the main map of all your stars and what's in different houses. Then they go through between 10 and 20 pages of very, very detailed analysis of what each of those aspects mean, how they're talking to each other at the time of your birth, as well as your generation, 5, 7, and 10 year, I believe, your history, your future. There's like a lot of really good baseline information in there, and just letting you know, every time I go back and reread through it, I find something new. There's just a lot there. So I am not sponsored or anything like that. It's just for your information, and for if you've never had your charts read, it's a fairly affordable. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks. With shipping, you're looking at maybe $20 total to have this done. It's a good way to kind of get an idea of why you are the way you are, why your generation acts like it does, and then also gives you a little bit of clues as to why certain things happen the way they do. It's not exact science because it's a general one, but it does give you a lot of good places to start. We'll call it that. Anyway, we'll get started with our reading, and we are going to start off with our I-Ching hexagram. I cast this before the video, so it takes less time. And air came up with the hexagram 6, so you're close to the front. This one's going to be, I think, might be a little intense for air, because the title of this hexagram is conflict. And the text is conflict, confidence accompanied by obstacles. With care, affairs can be made to prosper in the middle course, but the final outcome will be a disaster. It is advantageous to visit a great man, but not to cross the great river or sea. So, starting off, confidence accompanied by obstacles. So you have the knowledge to achieve what you're after, but it doesn't mean it's going to be an easy task this next month. Might be a good time to just take a breath, slow things down, keep working on it, but don't put the pedal to the metal type energy. With care, affairs can be made to prosper in their middle course. That's staying in a balanced state. So if you start to feel really intense one way or another, take a breath, settle down, come back to the middle. Really want to, and this is fairly easy for air, but you don't want to let your emotions get ahead of you in this next coming month is what I'm feeling. The final outcome, if you veer off the middle, is going to be a disaster. That could be a lot of different things. It just means that you could be actually going backwards on your project versus forwards. It just means that you're not going to fully achieve, is what they're implying. It is advantageous to visit a great man, not to cross the great river. So, in normal types of conversation, when we talk about esoteric, when they talk about waterways, it's talking about a giant challenge or a group of people, depending. Let's see what this one specifically says. It just says this one's the big challenge version is what they're implying. So finding a mentor, or going to talk to your mentor, or someone who's guiding you. The great man can be a lot of different things. It could be a spiritual advisor, it could be a business advisor, or someone who's accomplished what you're shooting for, what you're aiming for, what you're heading towards, and just getting a little bit of advice, maybe just having a conversation. Weirdly enough, just being in those people's presence sometimes is enough to wake up what we need within ourselves. And not to cross the great river or sea. Don't push through. If the obstacles are getting they're piling up, or you're kind of feeling overwhelmed, take a break. Step away from the problem. that's where your disaster comes, is if you try to push, I'm going to succeed at this beyond no matter what. Not probably the best decision. So this month is definitely one to pay attention to those pause signs that come up, those yield signs. Maybe a little detour is in order to keep things moving the right direction. So our foundational line is, provided that affairs are not pressed through to the end and that as little as possible is said about them, they will end propitiously. So don't go on about what it is that you are dealing with. Provided affairs are not pressed through to the end, you're not going to complete whatever you're working on this month. That's not to say that it's not going to move forward. It's just not going to come to a full fulfillment. And don't talk about your goals. Don't talk about what you're doing behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes for a reason, and other people's energy, because this is not specifically stating that you're the reason this is going to happen. It's implying that it's the outside energy that's coming in. So being quiet about what it is you're working on, the steps that you're taking, the path that you're working towards, is actually going to be better for you, so that other people's influence doesn't get in the way. So our second line is, as the conflict cannot be resolved, he beats a hasty retreat. His clan, numbering 300 households, also escapes harm. If things are starting to feel off, get your inner circle, get them away. And I like the numbering 300 households. That's talking about a leader. So if you're leading this project and you start to see there's things that are starting to shift the wrong way, put a pause on it, get everyone pulled back, reassess, recheck. It's not an end. It's not a this is going to blow up in your face thing. It's definitely a time to just step back from the forward push. Our third line is, he nourishes himself upon the ancient virtues. Right determination leads to initial troubles, followed by good fortune. Were he to seek public office now, he would not be able to attain it. Don't shoot for the promotion in June, is what they're really saying. You're nourishing yourself upon ancient virtues. Going back to the ancient honesty, in being clear with your speaking, working hard, integrity is huge. Those are all kind of the ancient virtues. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's what's coming forward at this point in time. And staying focused, being determined to do the right thing no matter what, could be a little bit chaotic at points. But by doing so, you're actually going to move ahead. I'm getting the impression that this month is definitely a slow down, pause, reassess month, whereas July, not for sure on that, but they're showing me a light at the end of the tunnel in July, so that actually could be a good thing. Your fourth place line, since the conflict cannot be resolved, it is best to retreat and submit to heaven's will. Peaceful determination brings good fortune. The things that are going to be coming up from outside sources, you can't control the outside sources, so just take a step back. Submit to heaven's will. In other words, this is something that you really can't dodge. This is not an option. This is something that's going to be happening. And they're saying it could be people just being really critical of what you're doing. That's fine. Let those people have their opinion. Step back. Take a deep breath. Make sure that everyone's on the same page. And if they're not, maybe put them to a side job so they're not in the direct line. But peaceful determination brings good fortune. Again, they're going back to that. Show integrity, be quiet, be calm, steady, keep moving, but maybe not push so hard. Our fifth place line is conflict followed by supreme good fortune. The hiccups, the obstacles are not going to end anything. They're not going to be a reversal of what you're doing. It's just a slowdown point. So good fortune is actually on the horizon, but you have to get through this first part, or this next part first. So our capstone, if the girdle of honor were bestowed upon him, he would be forced to strip it off thrice within one day. You don't want to fight to achieve what you're after. You do not want to achieve what you're after through a aspect of conflict. They're saying that if you achieve honor basically through battering through the conflict and you're going to do it your way, all other options be cursed type thing, it's going to blow up. It's not going to actually be something that's going to last for you long term. Like if you get your business through hostile takeover, you'll lose it. If you get a relationship through just pushing and pushing and pushing and not paying attention to the social cues, you will lose it. This is the implication of what's coming up. It doesn't mean that the month is going to be horrible. It's not going to say that you're not going to eventually get what you're after. What it's saying is that I-Ching, this month is definitely a time to take a pause, reassess. Don't push through obstacles. They're really emphasizing, my spirit team is emphasizing, do not push through obstacles. If it comes up and you hit a wall, step back, maybe take a look around. Is there a door on one side of this obstacle that you can maybe go around it? Is it something that you may have to deconstruct to get through it? But don't try to hammer your way through anything this month. Kind of go with the flow, tap into your more water energy in that respect, and staying to the middle, staying balanced. Don't let your emotions get swayed one way or another. So with that, we'll hop over to the tarot. I read week to week. There are approximately 4 weeks in June, so we'll read 4 sets. Each week I read a guide or guardian, whether you need guidance that week or guarded from obstacles that may be coming up. We look at a message from source, which is a positive reinforcement, something to encourage you through the week. And then we'll also look at a lesson or a challenge from the tarot, something to work on that week, or it may be giving you a little heads up on something that might be coming in that week. So your first week's guide or guardian is number 3, the Dragons of Transformation. With transformation, you're coming out of a dark place and your growth is occurring. Growth is not always comfortable. It's a little bit outside your comfort zone, and with the I-Ching's message of don't rush into things, when you have growth spurts, and if you can think back to when you were a teenager, preteen through mid-teen, and your growth spurts would hit and you try to do the same things you did before, and you were clumsy, you were gangly, nothing worked right, that's where you're at this first week of June, is you're in the middle of a big transformation, and that pretty much means slow it down. You need to fit into your skin before you can continue moving forward. You've went through a great deal of change. This is hugely important. It's something that you've been hunting for, craving, desiring, if not on a physical sense, on a spiritual sense. And it's where you are where you're at, and you're where you're supposed to be. Give me the right words. But it's also saying that just because you made that growth jump, it doesn't mean that you're done reassessing and settling. And that's where those pauses come in, is to like, okay, I've made this huge leap. Now it's time to figure out where I'm at, get my footing back underneath me, find that middle path, and then move forward. Your message from source is dolphins. Don't worry, be happy. I love the way this art is because it just makes you feel like you want to go play on that beach. You want to go swim with the oceans. There's mermaids swimming around. There's a random flower up here that's like a morning glory, spewing dreams out. This is where you're at. This first week, don't stress about everything. Don't let the small things get in the way. You've just come through a period of transformation. You're trying to basically find your footing again, and that's where it's like, don't worry about the small stuff. Find reasons to be happy. Go have some fun this first week. Not every day, but like go out with some friends on one night. Go to a movie. They're saying go out play in your garden because that's the time of the year we're at. Just enjoy those quiet times where you're just feeling peace and you're not feeling any stress at all, and you just want to relax. And that's what Source is encouraging you to do this first week of June. So let's take a peek at the tarot for your first week. We have the One of Chalices. With transformation, you're starting a new path. And this one could be a little bit of an emotional path is what I'm hearing. As you can see, she's kind of spilling her picture, which is spilling forth your emotions. That's where you want to guard against that. You don't want your emotions to overflow. Just like with I-Ching talking about finding that middle, pay attention to your emotions in this first week because they could be a little rocky, especially with that transformational energy coming in. The transformation dragons are there to help guide you through those shifts and changes. because they can be a little interesting. If you think back to during that time, it was awkward at points, but then you came out of it better for the awkwardness, and that's what they're saying. And they're here to support you. They're going to help find humor in the hiccups, basically. So your second week's guide or guardian is number 23. It is the Platinum Dragons. And with this image, they're talking about the platinum is the highest aspect of who you are. If you look, there's the chakra system, and the crowning achievement is the crown chakra. So the Platinum Dragon is here to help you wake up dormant energies. The Platinum Dragon is here to show you that you have all of these gifts, skills, abilities. Some of them are buried, but he or she, depending on how it manifests for you, is coming in to bring what you're ready to use, what you're ready to uncover forward. The first week you were in that, that awkward transformational state. The Platinum Dragon's now saying, you've done the transformation, let's see what's woke up. Let's see what's changed, what's improved, and how are you going to use those improvements and tools. So they're really giving me the impression that he is definitely a guide at this first week, or the second week. It's not so much a guardian, but it's definitely a guiding force. Your second week's message from Source is Dragonfly, live life to the fullest. Once you get through that awkward point and you start to live life normally again, you don't really notice the transition, but all of a sudden everything's going better. You're able to live life at a fuller extent because you have gotten through the gangly points. You can actually reach that top shelf now. You can do the things that you used to do, but there's more strength and there's more grace behind it because you had to go through that gangly process and relearn everything. And when you're with the Dragonfly, it's calling you to live life to the fullest because you can remember what you went through. It's not a negative. It's to look back and be like, wow, I've come a long ways. And that's not an ego, that is a statement of truth. And that's what Source wants to remind you of, is when you work with this kind of energy, you're moving forward. But don't forget to take a little glance in the rearview mirror and look back and be like, wow, I really have come a long ways. It doesn't feel like I've moved, because that's how life likes to hide our truth from us. But when you look back and you realize just how far you've come, it's impressive. And that's what Source wants you, Air, to understand, is that yes, you're moving a lot further than you thought, and it's very much improving your state. Your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Temperance card, and it's number 14, I think. I'm not good with Roman numerals, I do apologize. With Temperance, it is all about balance. It's all about tempering your passions. It's about tempering your aggressions, your growth. And it doesn't mean that you're stopping it. You are catching it before it gets out of control. You're catching it before it can fall over that cliff. And with the energy from the I-Ching talking about there's some outside energy that's not going to work with you this month, the Temperance is that middle pillar, that middle path. Coming back to center, finding your focus. The Platinum Dragon is saying, you've done a lot of growth. Let's look at the tools you've acquired. Let's see how far you've come and how that applies for what you're working on in this moment. It does not mean that you're going to plow forward. It means, hey, take a pause. Let's see what you got. If you ever play video games, you don't just keep playing and playing and playing and playing. Every so often, you'll go through your inventory and see what you picked up, because you might have a better sword, you might have better armor. Those are tools, and that's what the Platinum Dragon's coming in the real world, not the video game world, to help you understand that you've achieved a lot. Let's actually look at what you have acquired over that time period. It could be leadership skills, it could be wisdom skills, it could be a whole bunch of different things. So, let's take a peek here at your third week's. This is number, interesting, we have 14 in two different spots, or Brawn Dragon. And this one is showing some lightning, some energy. There's a little bit darker intensity this week, and I'm feeling he's definitely here to guard you. And with that being said, lightning is air-fire combinations. So this could be a spicy week, but you have him coming in to kind of protect and guide you through this. The third week is what they're implying is going to be probably your most interesting week. We'll call it that. This is where those obstacles are kind of manifesting in a more visible state, in a more forward talk. Do not listen to what other people have to say this third week. Really focus on your inner group. If they're not in your group, they're not working with you, they're not on your spiritual journey, not in your household, their opinions are their opinions. You can listen to them, take what you need. But if it's harsh criticism, like, why do you think you need to do that? You know what? That's their problem, and let them have it. Because that kind of energy is not going to be beneficial this third week. And the Oberon dragon is definitely helping you deflect that. And with the lightning coming forward, it's definitely the energy of nuking it before it can get to you. So, your message from Source, we have 2 cards that popped forward. We have creative wonderment, following your passion, and children, know that your children are protected. So your children can be physical children. It also can be your project work that you're doing. So with these 2 coming forward, it's really saying Oberon is keeping the other energy out. That allows you to focus on, like, this is the Oberon energy. It's protecting the things that need to be protected. That allows you to do your creative work. That allows you to do the work that you need to do, whether that is breaking down a barrier, getting more comfortable, taking your stuff to the next level, to the next step. With those 2 energies in particular, you don't have to worry about things being attacked because it's being protected. Everything's in its right spot. The angels, the dragons, God, Source, Divine is coming in to make sure that what you're working on isn't going to be damaged. That allows you the freedom to do your work, to do the creative part of things. And creation starts in the mind, which is air's domain. So this third week, it could be a little bit rough. It could be a little bit spicy. Don't take it personal. Understand that you are in the and under the protection of the angels, under the protection of God, Source, Divine, and that allows you the freedom to continue to work and plan and process. Not so much outward movement just yet, but definitely the inner work can be done this week. Let's take a peek at our tarot message for the third week. Lesson or challenge. We have the 3 of Chalices. Don't be lazy is what I'm hearing. Just because you're being told not to push forward in the physical world does not mean that the inner work stops as well. This is definitely a heads up that things might be a little bit rough. That doesn't mean full retreat into the closet, close the door, darkness, where you just don't do anything. It means maybe don't do so much outward stuff. Take it inside, work inside. The 3 of Chalices, it's kind of like when you look at their faces, they're kind of just gossipy. They're not really doing anything constructive. They're just being loungy, lazy. Again, I read intuitively, so that's the message that's coming through for this card. And with that, don't put a lot of thought and consideration into the flapping jaws of, the people down the street. Who cares what they think? You have your own mission, and as long as you're working with integrity and honesty in that mission, that's what matters. So, let's take a peek at the 4th and final week of June. And we have number 1, the balance. They're really emphasizing that middle path, middle pillar balance energy this month. And this last week, the balance dragons are coming into, after that third week's energy, let's reassess. Let's bring you back into that middle path. Let's look at the good and the bad from a neutral standpoint. Air's good at looking at things logically. So this is the energy of this 4th week so far, is just look at things from the broader picture. See where you've changed through your life, especially the last month. Take a look at the growth, the challenges that you have worked around or overcome through quiet contemplation, through planning, through ignoring those the negative people that are jabbering off to the side. And it's allowed you to grow a lot, but you're finding your new... This last week, you found your new footing, not finding. You found it. So you're in a better place overall. And moving forward, it's going to be a little bit easier is what I keep hearing. So, with your message from Source is the unicorn inviting serendipity. Make sure I said that right. The unicorn energy is finding that magic again. When you find the balance after coming through a growth period, a transformation period, and a little bit of conflict, when you come to the other side of that, there's so much freedom and magic with that. And when you start working again towards your goals, you'll notice that there's things that you were kind of maybe worried about, maybe frustrated about, things just weren't lining up correctly. All of a sudden they're gone because you have worked through that process, and that's a freeing experience. That's activating that magic again, where you can move forward without all the claptrap of someone else's opinions or thoughts. You're seeking out wisdom from people who have been there and done that, but you're not listening to the chattering of people who, they're on their own journey, they're not on yours, and they have no idea what actually it is you're shooting for. That's their problem, and you just leave that off to the side. It's not your business. And that's overcoming that conflict. And when you do that, like I said, there's a freedom that comes from basically not caring what people who are naysaying think. Now, if it's constructive criticism, it's a little bit different, but that's going to come from those great people in your life that are guiding you. The random person that you meet on the street is not probably going to be one of those people. Could be, but not always the case. And when you find that serendipity, when you find that forward movement, that freedom, that relaxation from stress and anxiety, it's pretty powerful. But you're going to do that with seeing that you actually achieved a new state of balance in this fourth week. So your lesson or challenge is the 6 of Pentacles. Basically, what I'm hearing here is don't allow the emotional balance, that freedom, because they're showing me that it's going to come in a little bit of a financial boon as well, so something good like that's going to happen, but don't allow that to become frivolous spending. Don't let, and it could be financial and it could be emotional or whatever. Just because things have worked out after all the challenges, that doesn't give you license to just throw it all around and waste it all. You've done the work, you've built the platform. Use what you have to reinvest in yourself and the forward momentum that you've been working on. When I say yourself, your group, anyone who's on the same path as you, because if they keep showing like kind of a leader of a group or leader of a business, like you've started a business, now you have employees, you're reinvesting into that, which is the growth potential. So the 6 of Pentacles is saying, don't get frivolous just because you've achieved stuff. That means, look, you've gained wisdom, now use that wisdom to continue moving forward. Everything in life is forward momentum. Everything in life is about some form of growth or lesson that has to be learned. And that that sounds less than pleasant, but in a lot of ways, that growth is a joyous experience. It's the unknown journey. It's that excitement that moves you to keep going forward. Conflict of any form is a way to see a new path around the conflict. Conflict should be, in one sense, not hunted for, but when it comes into your arena, it is something to be almost celebrated, because look, now I can use my tools, my skills, my connection to God, Source Divine, and I can figure out a way around this. I can adjust what I'm working on to make a better manifestation. Conflict can be very rewarding when viewed through the lens of, what can I learn from this? What is it that God, Source Divine is trying to guide me through? Because nothing happens in a vacuum. There's usually a reason stuff like this happens. So this month is not going to be rainbows, butterflies, and easy going for air, but it is going to be educational. It's going to stimulate that analytical, logic-based mind that air is really known for, and help you deal with the illusions, cut through the fakery of other people, and allow you to see forward movement. With that, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions, good or bad. As long as we're respectful, that's all I can ask for. And I hope you have a great rest of your month using that beautiful analytical air mind.